Hi, in this digital note, we're going to review and explore some of Python's printing options that will provide us additional flexibility for controlling the look and feel of the page. So one of the most basic things we do in programming is print things to the screen, and if those things are simply characters, we call them strings, and printing strings is quite straightforward. Inside the print statement, inside of quotes, you type what you want to see printed on the screen. And of course, we'll test this each time just to confirm that everything is working as we expect, right? Now, if you think about a sentence as a list of words, you could choose instead to print each word individually on a single print statement, but each word is in a sense its own string. So we would separate those word strings with commas within the print statement. So you have also seen that in this course already. So let's take a look at what that might look like. So as we go, I will always comment out the previous prints so we can only see one at a time, and we'll test this again as we go. So this looks great. However, I noticed that there is an extra space at the end of this sentence that is normally not there. So that is a result of using commas. Commas will always insert a space ahead of the next element in the list. So here we really don't want a comma. So we'll retype this, and this time we'll include that period right along with the last word sentence. So that would look like this. And once again, I'll comment out the previous statement, and that looks about right. And it works perfectly. No more extra space there. You can also think of a sentence as simply a concatenation of individual words. So rather than separating individual word strings by commas, you can separate them using the plus symbol. Of course, in mathematics, plus means addition, but in the context of a print statement, if a plus sign is seen between two strings, Python will assume that you intend to concatenate them, since you can't literally add strings in a mathematical way. So using concatenation here, we could reprint line 23 and notice that we are replacing commas with plus signs. Let's take a look and see how that looks. Well, we're noticing that the needed spaces between each word are no longer there. So that's an important idea, that the spaces are missing. You will need to put them in there yourself within these strings. So let's take a look at what that would look like. So recopying line 29, space after this, space after is, space after a, but no space after sentence, since we always want a period right at the end of the last word. Let's confirm this works as expected. And it does. Of course, it is possible to simply print each word that you want to print using its own print statement, instead of concatenating them or separating them with commas. So if you did it that way, the code might look like so. Notice we just have a single print for each individual string, and we've embedded the spaces as needed. So if we run this and take a look, it looks great, except we're noticing that every print statement is seeming to automatically start on a new line. What you're seeing here is the default behavior that Python uses, that each print statement automatically starts on a new line. However, you, the programmer, have the ability to control that behavior and change it by embedding a specific instruction to tell Python not to go to a new line at the beginning of the next print statement. So let's take a look at what that looks like. Once again, I'll dump the same code we had above. and I will comment out the earlier version. All right, so what we need here is to control the end behavior. Well, it turns out that Python has a default behavior at the end of every line. And unless you specify something different, that default behavior is a /n, which, as you understand, is the new line character. So, again, you can change this parameter by typing end equals, by the way, at the end of your very last printed string, a comma, and then end equals. Now let's change /n to nothing. So literally nothing is just quote, quote. Students, you can use single quotes or double quotes. It doesn't really matter. All right, so quote, quote. If you do that now at the end of each line, you will notice that Python will no longer go to a new line. Now, notice that we also don't need an end equal on the last print statement, because the print statement that follows this period here will automatically go to a new line since we didn't tell it not to in this fashion. All right, let's take a look at this. There we go. So note that all we did here is change the default value for that print parameter from /n, which tells Python to go to a new line, to literally an empty string. So whenever you want to print multiple things from multiple print statements, but you want them all on the same line, you will need to do exactly what you see here. Students, the big takeaway from this digital note is, yes, the specifics about how to control printing, but the reason that we're looking at this is that screen output is a major way that users interact with your program. So you as a programmer really need to be attentive to making sure that what users see on the screen matches normal expectations. Sometimes those are simply following rules of grammar and punctuation, but it's also providing white space and overall just being thoughtful about the total layout of your screen to help improve readability and the overall user experience.